Convenient, affordable chiropractic. It's my Chiro.
This is Michael. Go ahead.
Michael Luxa, yeah.
And so we're doing just a testimonial. He just wants to tell us about his experience with
Right.
Chiropractic here at the office. So tell me about the injury that you had.
On November 27th, 2008, I was at work in a scrapyard. I was doing welding and that. I bent over to pick up a piece of scrap iron, and basically everything stopped in my life right then.
Okay.
I felt a kind of a pull or a tug in the mid part of my back,
Yeah.
and just became full of pain. Of course, my job took me, and they sent me to a work comp clinic or whatever to get looked at,
Mm-hmm.
and the pills began. They started prescribing me muscle relaxers, painkillers, and all this, not really looking at the area, not really even addressing, I would point to it, and they'd never address that area. They just started putting chemicals and more chemicals into my system.
Was there anything physical that they ever did to that area?
They didn't even, I don't even think maybe at one time they might have pushed on it a little bit.
All right.
That's about all they did. The pills, of course, they started to cause me problems. They were, my blood pressure, I was having problems with that, on top of the pain, trying to cover that. And I would go in time and time again and complain and tell them, these pills aren't doing it, we're not getting anywhere. This went on for a year and a half with no results.
And this is before you saw us?
Oh, yes, way before I saw you. And like I had told you when I saw you, my life stopped completely. My days consisted of grunting and pain and kind of just walking around hoping that it didn't hurt too much that day so I could get things done. My nights were the same for a year and a half. Every 2 hours I'd get back out of bed and apply ice packs all up and down my back. And after a while that played a lot of havoc on my mental state. I got so depressed. I'm thinking, these are medical doctors. They should be able to have me, back on track. And yet they didn't want to address the area. They wouldn't even look at the area,
Okay.
And finally, it was a godsend. This lady, she said, "Have you tried a chiropractor?" And I said, "Well, I'll try anything." And that's when you guys were over by the fairway.
Yeah. How'd you hear about us?
I drove by, and I saw a $20 walk-in, and because they had cut off my health insurance because I wasn't able to work to pay it, and they were slowly just cutting me off of everything.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, how am I going to do this? Not working, barely making ends meet, and that $20 walk-in was like, thank you, And well, the first day I saw you, the relief I felt, I had actual relief, pain relief, for like 2 hours or better that day. And I thought, well, this guy's on to something.
Is that more than you had in the past year and a half?
It was 80-90% more of anything that I'd had. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a freedom all of a sudden. All of a sudden I didn't have to sit in my mind, I hope I don't turn just right or anything. And when we talked, then I started coming back, and it offended the medical doctors. And I'm glad it did. I'm glad it did, because when they found out that I went in and I spoke clearly and openly about it, the relief I felt, and what can we do to get this, what can I do to get to a chiropractor? All of a sudden they mysteriously decided to drop me, and they said I was faking.
Why do you think they didn't want you to see a chiropractor?
Because they knew I'd get results, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And they couldn't push pills, and they couldn't push all this other. They were starting to talk about more injections and more. The bill, my gosh, was insane, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And they just don't want to, the bottom line is they didn't want to fix the problem. They wanted to just mask anything that I would come in and complain about.
Okay. So you came in, you got an adjustment, you got some relief, and then there was...
It was a godsend. My life opened up again. I thought that something can actually work. Because in my mind I'd gotten so depressed and everything, I thought, this is how you're going to have to live now, Mike.
Okay.
Bent over and aching. And it made me feel old. It made everything was just so, it was a cloud. It was just a dark cloud. And when I came back a few more times, and you started to get more and more results. And then I met Dr. Turner up in Hiawatha, and I had discussed with her about, I had a leg that, that they had talked about that was maybe a little bit shorter or something like that. She said, well, go ask Bruce about a heel lift and that. And with you and her working together, and I got the x-rays, it's been almost, it's got to be 2 months now, pain-free.
Wonderful.
Pain-free. My life's back. I'm running around. I'm applying. You know, I'm a grandfather. I mean, life is back and life is good.
And do you remember how much the heel lift cost?
$6.
Yes.
$6. And I remember some of the bills that they would send. $1,000 for this office visit and this prescription, and it just never made sense.
Yeah.
None of it did.
Okay.
And thank God for you guys. You know, between you and Dr. Turner and you getting together and reviewing the film that these people had for a year and a half. They had an X-ray of my back, and it took you guys a total of 2 days. And come on in, Mike. Let's do this. And it's too bad everybody doesn't, have that experience or something that they can draw on, because it's the medical part of it. There was physical therapy they put me through and everything, and it created more pain.
Well, I know we're not magic, and we didn't take care of you in one visit, but how many visits did?
We've probably known each
less
other.
than 10, wasn't it?
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Yeah,
I think we were actually getting full results. I'd say I don't even know. I mean, I'm just so 8, 9 visits, maybe 5 or 6.
Okay. All right.
But when you guys actually cared enough, and I knew you cared by the way you looked at the problem, you cared, and you addressed the problem. Bruce, I got pain right here. And you address that problem, and I don't have that problem anymore.
Okay, fantastic.
And that's freedom. That is freedom.
So, what would you say to others that are considering?
Come to my Chiro. Talk to Bruce.
Okay, all right. Fantastic. All right. That's anything else you wanted to add?
I do one thing. I wish that people would look at chiropractic more than they do medical doctors. I don't know how to say that, but I think we're on the wrong track. I think we need to get on chiropractic and get off this pill pushing thing.
Yeah, I always say that it makes sense to start at the conservative end of the spectrum.
Absolutely.
And if you need to, keep working your way down that spectrum into the more aggressive stuff.
I agree. They went right from I walked into this man's office till he's handing me a prescription for Vicodin. And it didn't seem like that was addressing anything.
Yeah, that was no baby step.
No, it was wham into a major narcotic.
Yeah, okay.
And my life doesn't, I was offended by it.
Okay, all right. Well, that's good. It looks like the red button was on the whole time.
Convenient, affordable chiropractic. It's my